So, last week I went to my first Naidex, which is essentially Europe's leading disability event, and it attracts hundreds of exhibitors. So you've got companies who are kind of innovating assistive technology, things like that. You've got loads of members of the public, you've got traders, you've got magazines like Possibility, which I hadn't read before now, but absolutely devoured this in one sitting. Really, really good, worth having a read. And there were loads of seminars as well, really, really useful for anybody kind of working within that sector or thinking about it, which is kind of where I am. I just wanted to make a video really that kind of covered what I learned and who I met, and just summarised the event really, which overall I thought was fantastic. So start on Wednesday. Wednesday, kicked that off with a seminar by Marianne Waite, who is from Interbrand, but also has a company called Think Designable. So that's kind of advising, companies on how to kind of think inclusive and how to target like a wider audience, including like disabled consumers. So Marianne talked a bit about kind of why there seems to be this kind of general reluctance from brands and big companies to target and to market to disabled consumers. She talked about good examples of how to kind of communicate with that section of the market. I'll give a link at the bottom of this video to the example she showed, which may require you to have some tissues because it's very emotional, but it's a fantastic example of how it's done right. So that was really insightful. Totally pounced on Marianne afterwards and chatted to her and a couple of other inspiring ladies after that. We were chatting for a good time. So really, really glad to have met them. After that, I went to, what was the next talk? Bryn Anderson from Sight Improve, who gave a really interesting delivered a seminar which was about the importance of having, let me read the actual title for you, was How Digital Accessibility and User Experience Impacts Customer Loyalty. That was much more coherent than what I tried to say there. Excuse me. Which is essentially about making your website as accessible as possible, and the benefits of that and how important it is, and all the little things that you can do to make your website more inclusive. So for example, I'm going to read a little stat here, which really struck me. So 80% of internet customers with impairments will spend their money not necessarily on the website that offers the cheapest products, but where fewest barriers are placed in their way. It's worth thinking about that. It's food for thought for sure. And you can check how accessible your website is. You can go to things like Sight Improve Accessibility Checker, which is just a free way to kind of have a basic check about kind of where you're at with your website and how you can improve. So that was day one. Lots of lessons learned. Second day, Thursday, kicked that off with a quite frankly terrifying talk on GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, from Matthew Lamb from the Data Guardians. So his talk was GDPR, life after the 25th of May deadline. So he was talking about a lot of stuff. There was a lot of information in there, super helpful, but also quite scary. So talking about, for example, the things that companies are going to have to be able to show that they're doing. So some kind of fundamentals: transparency, accountability, demonstrability, and data protection by default and design. So, for example, you're not going to have pre-checked when you have those opt-in, opt-out messages on websites. Sometimes they're pre-checked for you. Sometimes they're very confusing. The language isn't clear and explicit. It's got loads of double negatives, so you don't know whether you're opting in or out, or you don't really know what you're doing. So it's intentional to confuse you to get your data. None of that anymore. That's not going to be allowed to happen. He talked about retention schedules, so you can't just hold on to data indefinitely. Like the clothes in the back of your wardrobe, you think, oh, maybe I'll wear them. That's not going to be a thing. You're going to have a definite end date. And decide what you're going to do with that data. Are you going to anonymize it? Are you going to get rid of it? Are you going to encrypt it? What are you going to do? And then also data breaches, what happens when you have a data breach. Really interesting. Sorry, the driest throat. 34% of data breaches are caused by a negligent insider. Now, to put that into context, that was the highest percentage in the 4 categories that Matthew gave. So that's 34% is the highest. Negligent insider, which could be someone like me, just an employee, you know, has a complete gaffe and makes a mistake that causes a data breach. Then you've got second only to malicious outsider, which is like a hacker basically. Now, I would have had that in my mind the other way around. I would have thought it was mainly hackers that cause massive data breaches, but no. It's negligence from you or I, if I'm talking to business owners or employees. Us mainly. So that was really interesting, quite scary, but worth looking into if you haven't. The time is running out. After that, I went to a seminar by Kaz Lalji from SocMed Social Media. He also runs Positive About MS. He gave a really interesting talk about how to use Facebook to grow your business, which again, really, really interesting. He showed us some examples from how Positive About MS had engaged with people on social media. And he also mentioned, this is my key takeaway, if you're putting a post out on Facebook, it should be one or more of entertaining, informative, newsworthy, or it should pose a question. Little simple things like that, really interesting to think about when you're kind of doing content marketing. Now, there were also some other like really interesting people that I met up with. So Sally Darby from Mums Like Us, which is a support network for disabled mothers. So that's mumslikeus.org. Again, and I'll put the link under this video. I also met Rachel Massey, who is a member of that support network. 2 really fabulous women, chatted for ages in Wetherspoons, just outside the main entrance for Naidex, about all sorts of things, but I shared the collection, the designs from Kintsugi's collection with them. I shared them with quite a lot of people, and actually it was really heartening to see people's reactions and, you know, being really positive about the designs and everything, which is ace because I've just chosen the manufacturer as well. I'll do another video about this when we're slightly further through the sampling process, but manufacturer has been chosen, guys. Scary, oh my god. But so samples are on the way. How crazy is that? Anyway, I also met Janet, who is a basically wheelchair fashion blogger. You can get her on Instagram. So it's role model, ROLL model.uk. So you can find her on Instagram. She shares she's clearly a fashionista. You can see like all of her outfits and stuff. It's ace. I also met, like I said before, the people from Possibility magazine. Keep your eyes peeled because in a couple of months, I think maybe just a summer edition, they're going to be doing a fashion issue. Kintsugi's not going to be in it, I don't think, because we're not really going to be like trading at that point. But you'll get to see some other companies that are within that realm. It'll be great. Let's be honest, it's a great magazine. So keep your eyes peeled and yeah, get on that. It's going to be good. I also met with some of the Disability Today team. So Disability Today, they've just relaunched their new website. Basically a directory from motoring and holidays to clothes, and it's basically everything you need all in one place. It's really, really, it's a great website actually. It's really user friendly. It's great. It's designed really well and it looks really slick. So that's worth checking out as well. And that was it really. I kind of mooched around and chatted to some people from a couple of the other magazines, although not for as long as I did with the team from Possibility. I've got so much to think about from Naidex. It was so beneficial. I'm definitely going to be there next year. If you're going next year, like, holla. Don't let me say that again. I'm too old for that.